This day in Philly sports history is proud to be a part of the Clashing Conferences Sports Fan Network, where passionate fans make powerful content. Check out theclashingconferences.com and join the squad today. What's up, everyone? Welcome to This Day in Philly Sports History for December 19th, 2025. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a Feel Good Friday edition of the podcast, Game Day Eve. Feel Good Friday. We've got a big sports weekend shaping up in Philly, so let's get right into it. Eagles held their last practice before heading down to D.C. to take on the Commanders. Lane Johnson was ruled out. Everyone else, though, other than Jalen Carter, who we expected to be out anyway, was a full participant in practice and is expected to play, including Fred Johnson, which is huge. Not a whole lot of news out of this game. I guess they're taking a very business-like approach this week, which is good because, like I've mentioned all week, excuse me, it is a hat and t-shirt game. They should be able to go down there and handle their business. However, it is a division game, so you always worry about motivation. Kyle and I broke that down on the Brotherly Birds Breakdown this week, which is out and available wherever you get your podcasts as well as on YouTube. But I got the Eagles winning this game. I think you're going to see the offense continue to get sharp and work through things. And truthfully, this is where you want to start playing your best football. I think you got to start running the ball, continue to be creative with the play calling and the runs. I think you got to get pressure on Mariota and control Washington's rushing game like you have been the past couple weeks between Las Vegas and the Chargers, and really put the pressure on the quarterback to beat you. And Justin Herbert really did not do a lot passing in that game. Hurt you with his legs. Mariota can certainly do that, so I think they have to do a better job of containing that. But turn that defense loose and truthfully get out of there healthy. No more injuries as you're starting to put things together. Those are the things I'm looking for the Eagles to do as we go and continue to play clean. I think I mentioned this on Tuesday, but they played a clean game. They finally did tough detail together like Nick Sirianni wanted to. So I think if they continue to, or not wanted to, but Nick Sirianni preaches, but I think continue to do that. That to me is key to this game. Continue to build on it. And one of the things we did talk about on the Brotherly Birds Breakdown this week, what a game last night between the Rams and the Seahawks. That was a must-watch game. I admittedly did fall asleep, so I missed the fireworks in the fourth quarter. But I need to see Sam Darnold do it in the playoffs, but he went toe-to-toe with the Rams and beat them. So the Seahawks with that defense could be trouble. So I think the entire NFC is it's going to be a fun playoff run because you got the Niners in there, the Eagles, whether it's the Packers are kind of hurt now a lot with Micah being out, but the Bears look tough. So it should be a very, very fun playoff run. But it all starts tomorrow. Get it done, get the hat, get the t-shirt, clinch that spot, and then worry about how the seeding and everything shakes out from there. But again, Brotherly Birds Breakdown available wherever you get your podcasts as well as on YouTube. Do have some Phillies news. There was a report that they're likely to trade Matt Strahm. And I think based on what his potential and what he can provide along with that contract, hopefully the Phillies can get some, I don't know if they're going to get major league ready pieces, but maybe they can get somebody that can go into the system and work their way up this year. So stay tuned for that. Still no word on JT. I still think he's the next domino to drop. Although I've been saying that, and they've dropped 2 dominoes since then. So I think eventually you're going to see JT signed, but I don't know. I guess the longer it goes, the better it bodes for the Eagles, as I guess nobody is making plays or making a play that JT wants. Maybe he's given them the right to match. I don't know. But the longer this goes on, I'm getting concerned, but everybody seems to think that this could be something that happens after the new year. Flyers lose a tough one to the Buffalo Sabres. Not a good loss for them at all. Their 5-game point excuse me. My allergies for some reason are killing me today. But that 5-game point streak is snapped. A 5-3 loss up in Buffalo. Again, one of the worst teams in the NHL. You shouldn't be losing that game. They're up in New York to take on the Rangers tomorrow in what should be a very, very great Philly sports day. So they take on the Rangers at 12:30, a little bit of an appetizer, leading you right into that Eagles game at 5. And then the Sixers are back in action tonight against the Knicks. They haven't played in a while, so they should be full strength. And this is a good measuring stick game. I want to see Joe play. I want to see Paul George. Maxey should be over his sickness. VJ should be ready to go. This is a huge game, and I'm looking forward to it. A lot has been made about the Knicks not wanting to put the banner up for the NBA Cup, which I get. It's everybody's own personal thing, but I don't know. If the NBA wants it to be taken legitimately and seriously, maybe it's something they ought to think about making them put up. I don't know. But Sixers Knicks tonight, I'm looking forward to this game a lot. This is, especially, like I said, since the Sixers are still trying to gel with everybody being healthy, but with everybody being healthy, this should be a fun one. And then you want some dessert after the Eagles game tomorrow? They're up in New York tonight. They return home to take on the Mavs tomorrow. 7:30 start, I believe that is. So you can go Flyers, Eagles, and then a little bit of Sixers action as well. And if you want to put the cherry on top tomorrow, Villanova takes on Illinois State in the FCS semifinals for a trip to the championship. I think it's the first time since 2009 they would be in the championship. But what a full plate for leading into Christmas. What a full plate of Philly sports. You got Flyers, then you got Eagles, then you got Sixers, and then throw a little Villanova playoff football on top of that. Sign me up. They're actually down in the main line. So could be and should be a winnable game for the Wildcats. I'll be looking forward to that. Hopefully, though, the Eagles and the main course doesn't spoil the rest of the meal. Yesterday's trivia question, I asked you who has the longest regular season winning streak in NFL history. Lots of people mentioning the Patriots when they went 18-0. That would be incorrect. That would be the Indianapolis Colts, who won 23 straight from 2008 through 2009. Unfortunately for the Colts, it did not lead to a Super Bowl, as they did lose in 2009 to Drew Brees and the Saints. Be sure to follow me on social media at Philly Jimbo on all platforms. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, Jimbo_Mont. Continue to spread the word. Like, review, subscribe, comment. I try my best to answer everyone's comments, even the haters. I had somebody hate on my take that we didn't expect the Eagles defense to play this well at the beginning of the season. We thought it was going to be the offense, and I still don't understand why that take was wrong, because it took trading for Brandon Phillips, or Jalen Phillips, having Brandon Graham come out of retirement to kind of turn this defense around. So I'm not really sure, but hey, thanks for listening. Also, by subscribing to the YouTube channel, you get notified anytime I drop a video, the Brotherly Birds, this podcast, I want to play around with over my winter break and experiment with some other things. So best way to stay in the loop is just subscribe. And then I do want to apologize for the past couple of weeks if I've been a little bit down and not my normal self, the stress of the job thing. I'm happy to report it's very bittersweet. I do get to keep my job, but a lot of people that I work closely with did lose their job. But it puts me in a good position now, or a better position, to be more in a position of power. while looking for other jobs and things like that. So the stress of, I need to get this done now, it is gone. So should be back to a more normal vibe here on the podcast. And then, of course, our random acts of kindness. Today is an important one. We talked a lot about mental health and checking in on people. Tell your friends you love them. Check in on them. See how they're doing and everything. Throughout this process, my core group of people have been great. So it does mean a lot. So for everybody who's been checking in and helping support me through all of this, thank you. But use that today as your random act of kindness. Tell your friends you love them. Check in with them. See how they're doing. All that other good stuff, because you never know what someone is going through. Whether you're coaching Little League, crushing your fantasy league, or just rolling up to a bachelor party like a Philly legend, Lotwin custom hype chains bring the energy. Fully customizable, totally unforgettable, and guaranteed to turn you into the MVP of the moment. Great for teams, groomsmen, or anyone who wants to show off with some serious swagger. Go to Lotwin.com, use the promo code TCCPOD, and get 10% off your own custom hype chain. Lotwin, let's get hyped together. All right, December 19th. First, we're going to hop in the Wayback Machine again and go back to 1948. And on this day in 1948, the Eagles were playing in blizzard conditions down at Shibe Park for the NFL championship against the Chicago Cardinals, which was a rematch of the prior season's NFL championship in which the Cardinals beat the Eagles 28-21. This was the first ever televised NFL championship, but the game was delayed 30 minutes due to the field conditions. The referees, they had extra refs come in to help officiate the out of bounds. They had to get players from both teams to help pull the tarp off of the field. Definitely not something you'd see probably in today's NFL. But Steve Van Buren ran in a fourth quarter touchdown to give the Eagles a 7-0 win to win their first NFL championship. Ironically enough, Steve Van Buren almost missed the game. Yeah, he almost missed the game. He woke up, saw there was blizzard-like conditions, and said, all right, game's going to be canceled, and went back to bed. I think I've heard Steve Van Buren tell this story that he had to get Greasy Neal, the coach, called him and said, what are you doing? And he's like, I'm sleeping. The game was canceled. And he's like, no, it's not. We're playing. Get down here. He had to take trolleys and all kinds of stuff to get to Shibe Park. Ended up having to walk 7 blocks to get there. So it's the ultimate, I had to walk to work in a blizzard. Steve Van Buren actually did that and did well, scoring the game-winning touchdown, the only touchdown in the game, giving the Eagles their first NFL championship, the first of 5 that the Eagles now have. But that does lead to today's trivia question. That 1948 win by the Eagles was not the first NFL championship for a Philadelphia football team. Which team won the championship and what year was it? Hit me up on the Back to the Future voice and text line 267-495-8531 or the Discord channel, which is the first link in the description. But who won the first NFL championship in Philadelphia and what year did it happen? If you're a hardcore NFL Philadelphia football fan, you should know this very easily. But let me know what you have for that. And then we're going to fast forward all the way to 2004. And on this day in 2004, the Eagles wrapped up the number 1 seed to move to 13-1 by beating the Cowboys 12-7. The 13 wins was the most at the time in Eagles team history. Donovan McNabb threw a touchdown pass to Chad Lewis in what became a defensive struggle. Dorsey Levens, though, scored the go-ahead touchdown with just under 2 minutes left. Eagles defense held, and the Eagles clinched number 1 seed, most wins in team history. But it came at a cost when earlier in the game, Terrell Owens fractured his fibula when he was horse collar tackled by Roy Williams, who was known for the horse collar. Did help lead to a change in the rules. That is now a penalty, but Roy Williams broke T.O.'s leg, and we all held our collective breaths to see whether or not he would be back in time for any playoff games. And we all know the story. He came back, played on 1.5 legs, and had one of the greatest Super Bowl performances ever, unfortunately, in a losing effort. And then on this day, a couple of Philly legends left town on this day. First, in 2006, Allen Iverson was traded to the Denver Nuggets for Andre Miller, Joe Smith, and a couple of draft picks. And then 8 years later, Jimmy Rollins was traded to LA for Tom Windle and Zach Eflin. A sad day for Philly legends, but both of those trades came when the teams absolutely needed it. I think that whole situation from the year before where he and Chris Webber missed fan appreciation and the team was absolutely going nowhere. So AI was traded to Denver. And then in 2014, at that point, Jimmy Rollins had set the Phillies all-time hits record, held many, many other Phillies records offensively and defensively, and the team was not going anywhere either. So two Philly legends leave town on this day. Allen Iverson and Jimmy Rollins were both traded in 2006 and 2014, respectively. And then we go to 2010. The 9-4 Eagles traveled up to MetLife Stadium for the first time ever to take on the 9-4 Giants. And it was all Giants. Pretty much all Giants. The Eagles were down 24-3 at halftime, down 24-10 in the third quarter. Giants scored again. It was 31-10. And then all of a sudden, though, Michael Vick decided to wake up. Threw a 65-yarder to Brent Selleck. On the ensuing kickoff, Riley Cooper recovered the onside kick. Vick led them down the field, scored on a 4-yard touchdown run to make it 31-24. Defense stepped up and stopped them, and then Vick hit Jeremy Maclin on a 13-yard touchdown to tie it with 1:24 left. The Eagles defense, once again, all fired up now, stopped the Giants. The Giants had to call a timeout. My memory is a little vague on this. I don't know if they were ready to get a delay a game or what it was, but there were 14 seconds left. The only thing the Giants had to do was not kick the ball to Deshaun Jackson. Well, guess what they did? They kicked the ball to Deshaun Jackson, who bobbled the ball, and we were just like, all right, this game's going to overtime. And then all of a sudden, a couple of great blocks later, Deshaun Jackson's running down the sideline. Nobody's going to catch him. Smart enough to realize, let me run out the time on the clock before going into the end zone. Game is over. Eagles win. Harkening back to the days of Brian Westbrook's punt return at the old Meadowlands, and of course Herman Edwards scooping up Joe Pitharchik's fumble and winning the game, became dubbed as the miracle at the new Meadowlands. But my question will always be, why kick it to Deshaun Jackson with 14 seconds left? And then at the end of the game, one of my favorite, this is ingrained in my memory for some reason, Tom Coughlin running over to the punter and screaming at him. You can literally read his lips. Why did you kick it to him? So on this day, Eagles with an epic come from behind win, beat the Giants 38-31 at the MetLife Stadium. At the time, it was called the New Meadowlands. Deshaun Jackson with the heroics, one of the all-time greatest games. Eagles moved to 10-4, gearing up and really took command of the NFC East on this day.
It's time for Fridays with AI, where we ask AI to rewrite Philly sports history. Every Friday only on This Day in Philly Sports History.
That's right. It is Friday. And as we always do, we spend Fridays with AI, brought to you by Philly Goat. Go to phillygoat.com. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off your order. I mentioned this yesterday. Constantly coming out with new t-shirts and new ideas, and all of them are just as good as the previous one. So go check it out, scroll through the site, take some time, and then be sure to use the promo code Jim Montgomery, all one word, to take 10% off of your order. So this is our last Friday show before Christmas. We will not have an episode on Christmas, but we'll be back the day after Christmas. So one of the big things, especially for kids at this time, is making their Christmas list, their wish list for Santa. So I figured let's have some fun with this today, and I asked AI to come up with the ultimate Philadelphia sports wish list, and here's what AI came up with. Number one on the list was the Eagles. And the Eagles are wishing for a perfectly timed January offense. Fewer turnovers, a healthy offensive line, a motivated Jalen, and of course, as a stocking stuffer, a road win in the elements to get us back to the Super Bowl. For the Phillies, they're asking for a youth movement. Justin Crawford, Aiden Miller, and Andrew Painter, they're going to come as advertised. They're going to be the core, the Jimmy, the Ryan, the Chase, and the Cole of this team. And they also are asking to become equipped with anti-October slump genes already installed, kind of like the batteries included, anti-October slump genes included. Sixers are asking for a healthy postseason. That's it. That's all we've ever wanted. That's all they've ever needed. That's the gift, a healthy postseason. For the Flyers, they're asking for a clear identity. Are they rebuilding? Are they contending? Are they ascending? Santa, please bring us some clarity on the Flyers and a stud center too. A stud center to go with Mishkov and all those guys. And then for Jalen Hurts, Jalen's asking for a late game eraser. It's a magic delete button that can get rid of fourth quarter mistakes. And then an iconic playoff drive for the ages this year as well. But mostly that late game eraser for Jalen Hurts. All right, Bryce Harper. Just one more October moment is what he's wishing for. He's all in on Philly. He's done it for us, but he just wants one more October moment. Santa, reward him, maybe with a World Series MVP as well. It would be nice. Tyrese Maxey, the keys to the city. And you got the keys to the Sixers already, so now take the keys to the city, become the next AI. It's your time to shine. That is what Tyrese Maxey is asking Santa for. Matvey Mishkov, we just mentioned him. He's asking for patience. Give him time to grow. Give him time to cook and become the next great Flyer. So he's just asking for some little bit of patience, like Axl Rose would say. And then the Athletics. The Athletics are asking for their name back in Philadelphia just one more time. And I think a good idea, and AI and I went back and forth on this a little bit. Be cool to have, and I know John Foley out there is smiling, a Philadelphia A's throwback weekend. Going to need the Phillies' help on this as well. But the Phillies wear the old blue uniforms that the Philadelphia Athletics did for just one weekend. And that way everybody remembers that, hey, the Athletics, before they move to Kansas City, to Oakland, to Las Vegas, to Sacramento, wherever they are now, they were Phillies' team. Randall Cunningham is asking for a DeLorean. He wants to go back to the future and play in today's NFL. And we've talked about this before. If he did, he would shatter NFL records. So Randall is asking for the DeLorean. The 2002 Eagles, the old school Nintendo reset button. And they can push it one time during the game. Do they push it after Joe Jurevicius? Do they push it during Rondé Barber's interception return? Somewhere else in the game. But they're just asking for one push of the reset button on the old school Nintendo. 93 Phillies are asking for one do-over. Let Mitch Williams throw that pitch to Joe Carter again and see how it plays out. Very similar to what the 2002 Eagles are asking for, but just one do-over. One do-over. I bet if he makes that pitch at least 6 out of 10 times, he gets Joe Carter out. The 2019 Sixers are asking for gravity. They want to use it to make Kawhi Leonard's shot not go in. And the 88 Eagles are asking for a weather forecast. And if they can't get the weather forecast, at least a huge fan to blow the fog that came off of Lake Michigan that day back in 1988. And for Philly fans, all we're asking for is peace. Just one stress-free championship run. Even last year, we had a couple of games in that playoff run that were stressful. The season was stressful. Just one. And if you could, Santa, no second-round cardiac arrest. Philly Sports Talk gets in on the action here. I don't think they're asking for this. I'm asking for this, and AI is asking for this for them for fun. A little bit of perspective. Not every loss is devastating. Jalen Hurts doesn't have to be Tom Brady. Just be fair. A little bit of perspective will go a long way. And most importantly, for the city of Philadelphia, I think all of us are wishing for the same thing, and just one more parade. Doesn't matter who, doesn't matter what team, just one more parade. Because at the end of the day, we're not asking for things to be easy. We just ask that it's earned. We ask for the memories. We ask for the moments. We're asking for the grit, the hustle, and the heart. And just maybe a little bit less of the heartbreaks that are always wrapped in hope. That's all we ask for. Just a little bit of breathe, but most importantly, another parade. And again, selfishly, would love to have more than one, but I would love to get down to a Sixers parade. And I know it's Lucy with the football. But that is the Philadelphia sports wish list for this holiday season. Thank you to AI for helping me with this. Fridays with AI is brought to you, as always, by Philly Goat. Go to phillygoat.com. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off of your order. And Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and Happy Kwanzaa, everyone. On this day in 2010, it was the miracle of the New Meadowlands. The Eagles completed the epic comeback when somehow, someway, the Giants decided to punt the ball to Deshaun Jackson, who returned it 65 yards for the walk-off touchdown. Amazing. On this day in 2006, AI was traded to the Nuggets. And in 2014, J-Roll traded to the Dodgers. 2004, Eagles wrap up the number 1 seed, set a record for most wins in team history, but lose Terrell Owens for the final 3 games of the regular season and the playoff push. He would make his return in the Super Bowl. And in 1948, for the first time ever, the Eagles win the NFL championship in blizzard-like conditions. Star Steve Van Buren almost missed the game because he thought it was going to be canceled. And the entire country was able to see it as it became the first televised NFL championship game. I will update you on Monday on all things Philly sports, what happened over the weekend. Big game for the Eagles against the Commanders. They can wrap up the NFC East. And then, what a day. You got Flyers, you got Eagles, Sixers, Villanova. Tomorrow's going to be a good day. And then we can have some stress-free football on Sunday. Just the way we like it. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History for December 19th, 2025. My name's Jim Montgomery. Go have yourselves a feel-good Friday. And until next time, I'll see you when I see you.